Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Dana Patrice, aka the Black Fairy, and I am here with another video. Welcome to my channel where we deconstruct from the patriarchy, from religion, and pretty much everything else that does not serve us. Today's video is personal, it's raw, and honestly, it's overdue. For years, I was one of those women who said, not all men. I said it to be fair. I said it to be empathetic. I said it to keep conversations balanced. But today I'm saying something different. Yes, all men. Not because every individual man commits violence, but because all men benefit from systems built by the violent ones, and most men stay silent when those systems harm the rest of us. This video is about why my perspective has changed, why the not all men narrative is actually dangerous, and why ignoring the numbers has allowed generations of women and children to remain vulnerable in a world overwhelmingly shaped by male violence. So we're going to get into it. Please like the video, share the video, comment, subscribe, all the things. Okay, don't forget to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. And we're going to get into this.
Yes. I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.
So let's start with the reality. Women do not live in the world men live in. We actually live in the world men create. Big difference. And statistically, globally, consistently, undeniably, men are the primary perpetrators of violence. Oh my gosh. I'm not even going to cut this out. And that's for really against everyone, against women, against children, against other men. This is not an opinion. This isn't emotional exaggeration. This is decades of global criminology, sociology, and public health data that we have available today. Here's what we know. More than 90% of homicides worldwide are committed by men. Around 95% of violent assaults are committed by men. Most sexual violence, stalking, and harassment, guess what? They are committed by men. Even when the victims are men, the perpetrators are overwhelmingly, guess who? Men. So when women say, I'm scared, and men respond with, but not all men, it's actually a derailment. It reframes the danger we face into a conversation that becomes about their feelings. And that right there is a part of the problem. So here's the truth. The not all men narrative is a shield. It protects men from discomfort more than it protects women from violence. Because when men hear criticism of violence, they hear an attack on themselves. But when women hear statistics of violence, we hear a very real reminder of our reality. Not all men does nothing to make women safer. Anybody safer. But it does do a lot to shut us the hell up. And that's what they want. They want women to shut up when they say this. And that's why conversations keep getting stuck. Because instead of acknowledging the problem, many men prioritize their image over our safety. And recently I saw the perfect example of this dynamic. It was in a viral TikTok clip featuring gender equality campaigner Patsy Stevenson. And to show you exactly what this looks like in real time, I want to show you this TikTok video now. It's actually two that I'm putting as one. Again, by the award-winning campaigner Patsy Stevenson. She was on Sky News discussing harassment on the London Tube, explaining that the vast majority of incidents are committed, in fact, by men. Let's take a look at it.
Clarify, I mean, it's surely the issue is some men, a very small minority of men, not men.
That would be lovely if it was a small minority. Unfortunately, it's definitely not, as you can see from the amount of people that have signed the petition, for example. As a women's rights campaigner, I've spent my life fighting for women's rights. A lot of people do. The reason that we need to fight for women's rights is because not many people understand how it is perpetuated in society. You know, misogyny is rife within society. I've said this for 4 years on TV now. It's not just some men. It's almost all of them at this point, and we actually don't know who it is, because if we've got women reporting that, I think it's 98% of them now have reported being sexually harassed and assaulted, it's not by random monsters, it's not by ghosts, it's men every time.
But I mean, again, I think if people are unsafe on the tube, something must be done. And I agree with your point at the top. It should be tackled perhaps at cause, with more police or whatever it might be. But are you honestly saying that people's safety on tubes is so bad that we need women-only carriages, and that is precipitated by all men?
I think she's arguing against the women-only
No,
carriages.
I know, but this is what we're discussing here. I mean, is safety on tubes bad enough that something needs to be done, and is the cause all men? Surely it's not all men.
So the defensiveness that you're feeling now is great to see on TV, actually. So this defensiveness that a lot of men have, where they're like, well, it's not all of us, I'm a good guy, that sometimes hinders progression of women's rights, because you're not thinking, well, you know, have I had this chat down the pub with the lads? Have I heard someone make a misogynistic comment? Do I know someone that's maybe had allegations against them and maybe stuck up for them? There's loads of things and loads of ways that men actually allow dangerous behaviour from other men. So you may not even be doing things yourself, but other men let other men get away with it. And that's where we've got a huge problem as well.
Okay. I mean, I still don't know that that's making people unsafe on the tube. I mean, it seems like a big step to suggest that applies to all men, or 98% of men.
98%, we can say 98%, but it's not a small minority.
Correct. 98% would suggest the vast majority, which is, I guess, the gap between what I would suggest is reality and what you're suggesting.
Luckily, that's why you get me on, because I'm an expert. This is my field, so that's why I'm here to speak about it, because I know statistically that it's almost all men. These aren't.
Suggesting.
Luckily, that's why you get me on, because I'm an expert. This is my field, so that's why I'm here to speak about it, because I know statistically that it's almost all men. These aren't like fake figures that are plucked from the air. Unfortunately, until people understand that this is a real situation, femicide is a real issue, and that women are dying weekly because of this issue, if you want to help stop that, then we need to understand that men have got the issue. Men are the issue. If people are trying to take themselves away from that and say, well, it's not me, I'd like to ask, if if you are attending protests to fight for women's rights, are you posting about things? Are you talking about this with your peers? Do you discuss women's rights? Do you discuss, oh, we shouldn't talk about women in a derogatory way because we're objectifying them and that leads to violence? I hope that these are conversations that you're having, because if you're just saying, well, I'm a nice guy and I treat the women in my life nicely, unfortunately, you're part of the issue.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that. We talk about this every day on this program, but I'm not even just saying I'm a nice guy. I think the vast majority of guys are nice guys. I think there's a lot that aren't. I'm not suggesting otherwise, that there aren't problems.
It's an experience. So, my lived experience and the lived experience of a lot of women that I know, almost all women that I know, is that it is almost all men. So it's I appreciate that you're coming from your own experience of being a man. You maybe don't see the amount of harassment and derogatory comments and misogyny that women go through on a day-to-day basis, but it's there every single day. Women write books about it. I've got some books in the corner, that are all about, my friends have written, because they're all fighting against misogyny. There's so many activists right now fighting against misogyny, and there's also a rhetoric going around that that feminism is harmful to men, that we're lying about these statistics. It's quite dangerous rhetoric, and I think when we minimize the issue to, oh, it's just some men, or it's just half of men, or when actually the reality of it is that it's most men, is quite harmful.
Patsy, thank you very much. Indeed, always good to have you on the programme. Thank you.
I mean, I think the starting point of that was, do men make women feel unsafe on tubes? It's not even misogyny or things more simple than that. And I think that to suggest all men or 98% of men make women feel unsafe on tubes, I don't know if there's evidence for that.
Did you hear what happened there? The moment she mentions the data, not opinions, not assumptions, data, the male host immediately jumps to, I don't think it's that high. Not all men. That right there is the pattern. A woman brings evidence. A man brings defensiveness. A conversation about safety turns into a conversation about male self-protection. This isn't new, y'all. It's not new, it's not rare, it's not even accidental. It's actually systematic. And as soon as she said the numbers, he shifted into damage control. Not for women's safety, but for men's reputation. And watching this clip hit me hard because I actually just recently had a similar argument with my older brother. Except mine wasn't calm. It wasn't professional. It was nowhere near respectful, right? It was aggressive. It was dismissive. And honestly, it hurt my feelings. It was painful. Here I was trying to express real fears, real stats, real lived experiences. And instead of concern, I was met with hostility and defensiveness. And that's what a lot of women face, many women face. We talk about the violence men commit, and instead of empathy, we get anger. Instead of, how do we fix this? We get, not all men. Women are constantly expected to prioritize men's feelings over our own safety. And this is why, for me, I'm no longer going to use not all men. Because too many men use that phrase as an escape route instead of accountability. So let's get into what the most up-to-date global research confirms. It confirms that The violence problem is overwhelmingly a male problem. It shows us and confirms that the majority of women worldwide experience some form of male violence or harassment in their lifetime. Also, men harm other men at staggering rates, meaning patriarchy hurts everyone. And last but not least, male defensiveness is so strong that even experts presenting facts get interrupted, dismissed, and talked over. This is not about individual morality, y'all. This is about patterns and outcomes. We don't say not all cars when talking about drunk driving. We don't say not all cigarettes when it talks about lung cancer. We don't say not all priests. Well, actually, y'all, I've actually heard people say that when discussing abuse in the church, but it's not as common as not all men in most cases. What do? We address the pattern, we address the system, we address the harm in all those other situations. So why is male violence the only subject where data becomes, offensive? And the fact remains is that this narrative does not hurt women alone. It hurts men too. Men of color can recognize injustice when it's about race, but many become suddenly blind when it's about gender. Patriarchy harms us all, every one of us. It forces men into silence. It encourages them to suppress empathy. It teaches them that accountability is an attack instead of a responsibility. It creates the exact environment where violence thrives. But the men who benefit from patriarchy, they would rather defend the system than, fix it. And that's why the burden falls on us, the ones harmed, to speak about this publicly. So let me be clear. When I say yes, all men, I am not saying every man is violent. I am saying every man benefits from the silence, from the protection and excuses that society gives to violent men. And until the so-called good men stop saying, not all men, and start saying, what can we do to stop the harm? They are a part of the problem. Silence is participation. Defensiveness is participation. Dismissal, also participation. If the good men are out there, they need to prove it. Anyways, you guys, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for holding space for this conversation. And thank you to the women and to the men who are brave enough to confront these patterns instead of running from them. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your own experiences if you don't, if you feel like it, if you feel to share. And as always, stay safe, stay aware, and stay empowered. Because until this system changes, it's up to us to keep telling the truth. I love y'all, and we'll talk soon.
Yes. I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.